Bill Clinton attacks President Bush on foreign policy. The president tries to drown Clinton out. To Russia with love, Americans adopting orphan children. An eye on America, the anti-drug crusader who says the last person police should arrest is the dealer, the very last. This is the CBS Evening News. Good evening. I'm Connie Chung, in tonight for Dan Rather. George Bush and Bill Clinton battled for the foreign policy spotlight today. The Democratic presidential candidate gave his first major foreign policy speech. The president tried to steal some of Clinton's thunder by announcing an aid package for the former Soviet republics. Richard Threlkeld begins our coverage with the Clinton campaign.
It was Bill Clinton's first chance in 2 difficult weeks to look and sound like the frontrunner. A speech in New York on foreign affairs. He said the president's foreign policy lacks direction.
George Bush has invoked a new world order without enunciating a new American purpose.
Clinton supported the president's Soviet aid initiative, but said it was too slow in coming, and he criticized the administration's Middle East policy.
They have chosen to browbeat Israel, the region's sole democracy, while nurturing ties to Syria's despotic regime.
This audience, at least, was friendly, but unhappily for Clinton, he still has another week of this to endure.
The Democrats have no platform against pornography.
It's the hazing that New Yorkers love to inflict on the presidential candidates, especially frontrunners, before every primary.
Why? Answer the question. Why can't you answer?
And not just on the sidewalks of New York. Clinton got a real grilling on the character issue during the Donahue TV show today. Clinton gave as good as he got until the audience had had enough.
Given the sort of pathetic state of most of the United States at this point, Medicare, education, everything else, I can't believe you spent half an hour of airtime attacking this man's character. I'm not even a Bill Clinton supporter.
Jerry Brown, who trounced Clinton in last night's Vermont caucuses, toured Manhattan today with Jesse Jackson. Although a new state poll has Clinton ahead, Brown still has a chance to win this primary. He's sticking to bread and butter issues and says Clinton should too.
He's going to give a foreign policy speech today. I want to hear him tell honestly what he's going to do for the city of New York, for the people of this state, and the people of America.
Meantime, while visiting the White House today, Jimmy Carter criticized Brown for being too negative, endorsed Clinton, and mused about the Democrats' habit of climbing off bandwagons instead of onto them.
Democratic voters have a tendency to want to knock off the leader in order to keep the election going, and I think that's what's happening now.
This was a good day for Bill Clinton, but he's had to dig deep into his campaign kitty to try to win New York. If he loses and contributors decide his is a losing cause, he could run into some real money problems. And there are lots of big primaries yet to come. Richard Threlkeld, CBS News, New York.
It was no coincidence that President Bush scheduled a news conference for the same time as the Clinton speech. Mr. Bush announced a long-awaited multinational aid program for Russia and the other former Soviet republics. We have that part of the story from Susan Spencer at the White House.
For President Bush, the multi-billion-dollar aid package is a way to help the republics. For candidate Bush, a way to play his foreign policy cards again.
We have a major stake in the success of democracy in Russia and in these other states. The cost of doing nothing could be exorbitant.
Critics, especially ex-President Nixon, have been yelling that for weeks. But as long as Pat Buchanan was blasting him on foreign aid, you did not hear George Bush pleading for more help for the republics. Now, with Buchanan dormant and Bill Clinton delivering a big foreign policy speech, well, what better day than this?
So this isn't any Johnny-come-lately thing, and this isn't driven by election year pressures. It's what's right for the United States.
The plan includes U.S. contributions to a $24 billion multinational fund, part to stabilize the ruble, part to restructure the republic's economies. A $12 billion increase in U.S. commitments for loans, and just over $1 billion in indirect farm aid. Total tab this year to help the republics is expected to be about $4.5 billion. But given Americans' dislike of foreign aid, officials were obscure about specifics.
Obviously, there is a cost, and it is real money. It is not funny money. So, but I'm not. I don't think the Secretary of the Treasury can put a number on it.
Even with the price tag smudged, this will be a hard sell in an election year.
We do have to stop the politics on this one. We have to talk about doing this together.
This is an investment, an opportunity that we can't afford to pass up. Otherwise, the cry would be, who lost Russia?
The White House strategy will be to sell help to the republics not as foreign aid, but as a lofty guarantee of world peace, leaving voters with the impression that it will cost practically nothing. Susan Spencer, CBS News, the White House.
Some individual Americans are way out in front of the government in finding ways to help Russia. Jonathan Sanders has the story of one American family and one Russian child.
Betty Katie is traveling half a day from Moscow, half a world from her Virginia home and husband to adopt a Russian child.
The last message was, hang in there, get the baby, come home safely, we all miss you.
Her new child is waiting in an orphanage deep in the Russian heartland. The baby's name is Anya. Together they are pioneers, one of the first adoptions by an American in the former Soviet Union. Until recently, it was illegal.
Are you going to go home? You're going home with me to America?
But economic hard times mean hardly any Russians can afford to adopt. Across Russia, upwards of 1 million orphans are in state institutions. We can't promise all of our children a good childhood, says the orphanage's doctor. Anya is one child who won't live in a barracks. Russia still does not permit foreigners to adopt perfectly healthy babies. Anya, for example, had a mild birth defect, but that isn't stopping Americans from looking to Russia for children.
Good afternoon, Cradle Hope.
This Washington adoption agency is one of the go-betweens. There is no shortage of couples willing to spend the thousands of dollars an adoption can cost.
And we have, in the next couple of weekends, 2 or 3 families going each weekend. So it's going very well.
But Russian officials are cautious. Betty Katie had to prove to the local government council she and her husband are worthy of Anya. What about her heritage, they wanted to know.
When she is older and wants to come to Russia to see her homeland, to see her motherland, where she came from, certainly we'll come as a family.
Satisfied, the council approved. Don't forget us, they said at the orphanage. Invite us to celebrate your wedding. For an expectant father in Washington, the celebration had just begun.
She's so beautiful.
Jonathan Sanders, CBS News, here Vivoyne, Russia.
Welcome to America.
Thanks, Daddy. Daddy.
Still ahead on tonight's CBS Evening News, closing arguments in the trial of Manuel Noriega, and tough new tactics in the Holy Land.
We just put 70,000 miles on a Plymouth Acclaim and a Dodge Spirit, the lowest priced 6-passenger cars in America. Then we asked 200 drivers to compare them with this new Honda Accord for comfort, performance, and overall superiority. 117 out of 200 preferred the Acclaim and Spirit overall. We were blown away by the results, and so was the Accord.
Now, get $1,000 cash back on Plymouth Acclaim and Dodge Spirit.
This is regular. This is better. This Bayer is regular, but for headaches, Anacin is better. This is regular. This is better. This Bufferin is regular, but for headaches, Anacin is better. What makes Anacin better? It's simple. Regular Bayer and Bufferin have one ingredient for pain, but Anacin has 2 ingredients, an effective pain medicine plus a second ingredient that makes Anacin work better. For headache relief, get Anacin. Get better.
The State Department Inspector General is recommending disciplinary measures against officials responsible for keeping track of U.S. weapons exports. The statement today doesn't specify any countries, but it follows reports that Israel transferred U.S. technology to third countries, including China and South Africa. Israel has denied the charges. Israeli troops opened fire in a Palestinian refugee camp today, killing 4 Arabs and wounding more than 50. Israel said the trouble began when someone threw a grenade at an army post in the Gaza Strip. It was the bloodiest battle in 3 years in the occupied territories and part of a new phase in the Arab uprising. Bob Simon reports from the occupied West Bank.
Rocks have become rifles, stones, submachine guns. The symbols of the Intifada have changed. The nature of the Palestinian revolt has undergone a revolution. very few mass demonstrations these days, few strikes, little civil disobedience, more masked men with weapons. The Israelis have changed their tactics too. Fewer curfews, less collective punishment, fewer troops. The command has turned towards counterinsurgency warfare and has relaxed its rules on when soldiers can open fire.
This is the new phase of the Intifada, small bands of armed Palestinians targeted by small units of Israeli soldiers. As preparations are underway for another round of peace talks, the situation on the ground is getting more deadly all the time. The bloodiest battleground is the town of Jenin, and the most wanted man on the West Bank is 30-year-old Ahmed Awad Kamel, who the Israelis say murdered 30 Palestinians over the last 18 months. He leads the Black Panthers, one of the many color-coded gangs here, who define their mission as killing not only Israelis, but all Palestinians who collaborate with them. As they try to resemble an army as they put on uniforms, the Israelis are taking theirs off, relying on undercover units which disguise themselves as Palestinians and look for wanted men. In this operation, filmed by the Army, the men with Arab headdress are Israeli commandos. Their target is the man leaning against the car. There are several of these operations every day. This Palestinian from Jenin was shot 3 times by Israelis dressed as Arab women. What have these units accomplished? Aside from capturing and killing and keeping the gangs on the run, they have sown suspicion throughout every town and village in the occupied territories.
Anyone who crosses the street feels that many eyes are watching him. But whose eyes?
It is a new game on the West Bank, governed by the oldest rule of the Middle East. When there is the faintest whisper of peace in the air, more people are going to die. Bob Simon, CBS News, Jenin.
The first worldwide study of women and smoking is out today, and it's a killer. The UN report predicts that the number of women dying from tobacco use will double over the next 3 decades to more than 1 million a year. In this country, the UN says so many young women are taking up smoking that female smokers may soon outnumber male smokers. Now from around the world, more CBS News. Hecklers threw eggs at British Prime Minister John Major as he campaigned in the streets, trying to come from behind and save his government in next week's elections. Polls show the opposition Labour Party leading Major's Conservatives. Princess Diana and Prince Charles led the mourners at the funeral for Diana's father, who died Sunday. The 8th Earl Spencer was 68. A skier was buried by an avalanche today at a resort near Snowbird, Utah. Rescue teams were unable to save the man. And up in space, the shuttle astronauts are winding up 9 days of orbit, stowing gear and getting in their last looks before landing in Florida tomorrow morning.
It's not a perfect world. Even pantyhose could stand some improvement. Presenting No Nonsense with a unique stay-flat waistband that doesn't roll down or bind. It's something other pantyhose just don't have. No Nonsense, beautifully put together.
Hot coffee and steak in front of strangers at 30,000 feet? Not with my old adhesive.
Fix-It-Dent holds stronger than any other adhesive. It even stands up to the hottest liquids.
Now I fix it and forget it.
I teach archery, so I always have to hit my target. Thanks to the always-on-target Hearts 2-in-1 team, ridding Bo of fleas and ticks is easy and just as accurate. First, use Hearts 2-in-1 Rid Flea Shampoo. It kills fleas and ticks, leaving him really clean. Then a Hearts 2-in-1 collar for up to 5 months of long-lasting protection. The Hearts team, 2-in-1 Rid Flea Shampoo and the 2-in-1 collar. Targets and kills your pet's fleas and ticks. They really work. Hearts, everything good for your pet.
Here's the problem. You need to remodel your house, but you don't know if you'll ever get to do it. Because in between need and get is a gap called not enough money. Well, it's easy to bridge that gap between need and get. Just go to First Interstate Bank, because First Interstate offers home improvement loans, car loans, and secured lines of credit at some of our lowest rates in years. So to go from need to get, just go to First Interstate Bank, and we'll help you get what you need.
Sunken treasure beyond your wildest dreams. All you have to do is find it. Join the treasure hunt on 48 Hours tonight.
In Miami, final arguments today in the drug trafficking trial of ousted Panamanian leader Manuel Noriega. As Juan Vasquez reports, both sides pulled out the stops for their last crack at the jury.
In a marathon 6-hour closing argument, prosecutor Miles Malman nearly ran out of disparaging adjectives to hurl against Noriega. Deceitful, manipulative, crooked, and corrupt. Prosecutors told the jury that the drug-smuggling Medellin cartel was comfortable in Noriega's Panama because it was their backyard. But the government could never place cocaine in Noriega's hands, relying on testimony from former drug dealers who claimed Noriega was paid millions of dollars to allow drugs to be shipped to the United States through Panama. Even veteran defense attorneys say Noriega's chances of acquittal are slim.
And it would take strength beyond imagination for them to go into that jury room and let this guy walk out the back door knowing who he is and what the government has done to get him here.
But when Noriega's flamboyant attorney, Frank Rubino, got his chance, he hammered the government's case. This indictment stinks, he told the jury. He said the government made deals with no fewer than 20 convicted drug dealers and money launderers to get Noriega. The scum of the earth, he called the government's witnesses. They should be in cages. The trial never turned into the political drama the defense had advertised. No testimony from Fidel Castro, with whom Noriega met occasionally, or from George Bush, who headed the CIA when Noriega was on the payroll and who met with Noriega at least once while vice president. As president, it was Bush who ordered an invasion of Panama to nab Noriega in what was called history's biggest drug bust. After listening to 6 months of testimony, the jury is expected to begin deliberations tomorrow. If he's convicted, Noriega faces up to 160 years in prison, and for him, any deal is unlikely. Juan Vasquez, CBS News, Miami.
Stay with us now for more CBS News. Next up, the hockey season is on ice. The players are on strike.
This plant is in trouble. Maybe so are you. Because what will you do? And how will you do it? With the one who guides you every step of the way. Ortho. It's our nature to help.
Your breakfast, sir. This new Kellogg's Frosted Bran is quite sensible. Crispy flakes with whole wheat and bran, slightly frosted for a taste that's delicious. I love it. I love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. I love it. And new Kellogg's Frosted Bran has less sugar than you'd imagine, but the taste, it's out of...
We've got to stop serving this.
New Kellogg's Frosted Bran, wildly delicious, sensibly good.
Grandma's got a date. What's a date?
Closeness. You might hesitate if you wore a diaper. So Johnson & Johnson created Serenity Guards. Bladder control protection so advanced, it holds as much as something 5 times its size and stays dry, locking liquid in. And now there's a new Serenity Guard, Super Plus, with even more super absorbance. So if you've been looking for extra protection, give yourself hugs for discovering new Serenity Super Plus.
I'm Harry Smith.
And I'm Paula Zahn. Have you ever been suddenly overwhelmed by fear? You're not the only one.
Find out about panic disorder tomorrow on CBS This Morning. Breakfast for your head.
Push has come to shove in the United Auto Workers strike against Caterpillar, the company that makes earth-moving equipment. Caterpillar said today it will hire permanent replacements for the 11,000 strikers if they don't return to work. They've been off the job for 5 months. The union responded by calling strikes at more Caterpillar plants. Pro hockey players today called the first strike in the 75-year history of the National Hockey League. Jacqueline Adams has that story.
On the ice, professional hockey players are not at all shy about using their fists to settle a disagreement. Their shots have been just as devastating off the ice, battling team owners. By the overwhelming vote of 560 to 4, the players went on strike this afternoon, thereby jeopardizing the start of next week's playoffs, a season that earns big bucks for the owners.
It's extremely sad. I mean, especially it's coming to playoff time, and we should be getting ready for the Stanley Cup. And that's what's the most saddest.
The fans are outraged.
Listen, what it all comes down to, I think, is the money issue.
I don't think people feel sorry for players that are making an average salary of around $350,000 a year. But in that same note, I don't think people necessarily feel sorry for some owners that are making several $million a year.
Money is at the heart of the hockey dispute. The players want a more liberal policy on free agency, bigger playoff bonuses, and they've offered to play 4 additional games to pay for the salary increases. Owners claim they're already losing millions. That's why they want a share of the roughly $16 million the players' union makes from the licensing of products like hockey cards.
Well, you can't get away from looking at a $155 million loss over the next 2 years. Ownership can't stand that.
The players don't believe that. The owners don't believe what the players are saying about breaking up their union, so we have the mistrust problem once again.
For all the violence on the ice, hockey's strike is shaping up as a somewhat genteel affair. Negotiations are continuing. The union has promised no picket lines, and out-of-town players are flying back home, with the union picking up the tab. Jacqueline Adams, CBS News, New York.
Police in Port St. Lucie, Florida, have completed their investigation into a woman's charge that she was raped by 3 New York Mets. The investigation included taking a blood sample from pitcher Dwight Gooden. The police findings were turned over to the state attorney, who must now decide whether to bring charges. Coming up next, Eye on America. Tonight, how a small town is attacking a big drug problem.
When I was little, I was always getting caught with my hand in the cookie jar. And I still love sweet things, like Sunsweet pitted prunes. So you see, nothing's changed, except my cookie jar.
Why cook in oil, margarine, or butter? All natural Pam adds only 1/10 the fat and calories and keeps food light and delicious. Pam cooking spray, because how you cook is as important as what you cook.
An allergy attack can start small. Itchy eyes, stuffy nose. But before you know it, your allergy is full grown. That's when you need Dimetap, the allergy medicine. If it was any stronger, you'd need a prescription. Maximum strength Dimetap Extend tabs work for 12 full hours. It's the way to relieve the congestion and sneezing of a full-grown allergy attack. Dimetap, relief for the full-grown allergy attack.
Why should you change phone companies when you're perfectly happy with the one you've got? Sprint spokesperson. Volume discounts. So if you call a lot, it would be nuts to use anyone else. You have relatives in over 180 countries. Sprint lets you call them all direct. Phone cards, even in Braille. Sprint didn't go down and leave a kabillion people stranded. Call now and you'll even get 100 minutes free. How many more reasons do you need?
The real problem with heartburn isn't putting it out, it's keeping it out. Introducing new Maalox Heartburn Relief Formula. It doesn't just stop the burning, it actually helps keep it from coming back. New Maalox Heartburn Relief Formula. It could start in your office, in your home, over lunch. But now, wherever heartburn starts, this is where it ends. Introducing new Maalox Heartburn Relief Formula. No ordinary antacid works like this one to put out heartburn.
We tend to think of illegal drugs as just a big city problem. They aren't. And we're often told that the way to get rid of drugs is to go after the dealer. Well, there's a man who says that's wrong, too. You'll meet him in tonight's Eye on America, reported by Meredith Vieira.
Stretched along the banks of the Mississippi, with its rutted country roads and crooked train tracks, Greenville is in many ways still the sleepy, friendly Delta town it has always been.
I love it better than I do any place in the world.
Savannah Wilson fell in love with Greenville back in 1930, opened this small boarding house, and made a living by renting rooms out to field hands and factory workers.
Sure, they're my neighbors.
But as industry abandoned Greenville, drug traffickers moved in. Even a 79-year-old grandma knows how the local crack trade works.
People brings it in and hire different fellas who don't have no jobs to distribute it. And they stand on the street in bunches selling dope.
The children of Greenville know about crack cocaine, too. 6-year-old Arthur drew a picture with a familiar slogan.
Say no to drugs.
But just say no isn't working in Greenville, any more than it is in New York, Chicago, or L.A. Greenville's per capita crime rate is now second in the Southeast to Miami's.
The money's good. The money's damn good.
Tyree Waters sells cocaine. He's been arrested 4 times, beginning when he was 9 years old.
Only way you'll probably stop me from selling drugs tomorrow if you give me $1 million.
From Greenville, Mississippi to New York's South Bronx, America has invested millions fighting drug dealers as small-time as Tyree Waters and as big as Manuel Noriega. But it doesn't seem that we've made much progress. One man who grew up on this New York City street thinks he knows why. He says in part it's because we've been targeting all the wrong people.
We're like morons looking in the wrong direction for the answer to our problem, when the answer is right there.
For 25 years, Mike Levine worked as a federal drug agent in almost every country where narcotics are produced. During his career, he was responsible for the arrest of thousands of drug dealers. Today, he says it was all a waste of time and money, all a charade by the U.S. government he served.
We were told drugs are the enemy. It's not a war on drugs. Drugs can't fight. You can't go to war against drugs. I want to show America that they can win a war against a problem, a drug problem. It's done by going right to where the problem is, and that is the guy paying those bucks. And he's the easiest to stop. The user. The user.
Kirby Slayton, welcome to Greenville.
Small-town cop Kirby Slayton read one of Levine's books on fighting back and invited the South Bronx drug agent to the Mississippi Delta.
Thanks.
He spent the week talking tough to community leaders and students, explaining how Greenville is going to wipe out its drug problem by taking away the dealer's business, one addict at a time.
They're going to buy the dope, and they're going to walk away 4 or 5 blocks, or they may drive away, and suddenly their car's going to be stopped.
You want to step out? You want to step out?
They're going to be arrested.
It feels like a rock right there. Is that a rock there, Harvey?
That looks like a little cocaine, man. You under arrest.
We may arrest 100 users, 100 buyers, because you're the enemy. And then when the drug dealer has no more customers and he's standing outside wondering why business is down, then we're going to arrest him last.
It will take months before Greenville knows if Mike Levine's tactics are working. Till then, children will continue to just say no and hope that's enough. And Savannah Wilson will sleep with 2 guns by her bedside.
This is a 38, and this is a 22. I'm afraid to sleep without a gun around me.
In Greenville, Mississippi, Meredith Vieira for Eye on America.
And that's our news. Coming up on 48 Hours, want to get rich? Well, you may have to get wet first. A dramatic underwater search for gold and jewels on 48 Hours.
On international non-theatrical events. Local Color, a look back at racism and the civil rights movement in Oregon, produced for OPB by the late John Tuttle, received an IRIS Award from the National Association of Television Programming Executives. Oregon Public Broadcasting, making a difference for Oregon and for you.
Funding for the McNeil-Lehrer News Hour has been provided by ODS Health Plan, the group medical plan that meets the needs of more than 600,000 Oregonians by providing a broad range of medical and dental coverage and responsive service.